Imagine waking up one day and realizing you've almost forgotten everything you learned over the last years. That's what happened to me with German. I spent almost a decade learning this language, and I can't even introduce myself. Most probably you want to know why. Because I never found passion for it. And I slowly stopped practicing and it faded away. But the good news is I learned Spanish in just 7 months. And in today's video, I'm gonna share 5 simple steps how you can learn any language fast and never forget it. I'm gonna share all my secrets. Hi guys, nice to see you. My name is Veronica and I would like to chat with you and share my secrets with you from this stunning place. So the first secret is that languages are the key to success. You need to speak, I would say, at least 2-3 languages to be able to do these things. I mean, English is a must. Spanish is also an international language, so the choice is yours. But languages open up the new worlds. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Step number 1, TPR, Total Physical Response Principle. Let's start with some science. It's pretty simple. Total physical response, as the name says itself, is physical. Perform this action physically in order to remember it better. At the beginning of any language journey, I would suggest learning the most common 100 words. So how do you learn these words in a fun way, in a pleasant way, and in a way that's gonna help your brain remember these words? So we can use this total physical response. For example, you learn the word book. This is a book. I'm touching the book. I'm feeling it. And the next phrase most probably is gonna be connected to read a book. And you, for example, read one sentence from the book. Or another example, you learn a phrase to call a friend. So you grab your phone and you basically call a friend, or you pretend that you're calling a friend. Or you learn the verb to jump and you start jumping. Or you learn the verb to walk and you stand up and start walking. You get my point. So you perform these actions physically, with your body, with your senses. You can learn a lot of words using this principle, especially these basic words that you need to learn to start speaking a language. These are usually verbs or nouns. So this principle is going to be really useful. I used to use this principle a lot when I was learning Spanish. That's why I actually acquired Spanish so fast as an adult. TPR isn't just for beginners. Think about it. By involving your body, you're engaging your brain, and it helps a lot with retention. So if there are some more complicated verbs, you can also use this principle. Step number 2, start speaking immediately. I made a terrible mistake, guys. When I was learning English, I didn't start speaking immediately. I used to learn English at school. That's why it took me so many years. Because they were teaching us grammar rules, technical vocabulary, they didn't teach us the whole phrases. They were just teaching us words out of context. So, by the way, when you use TPR, the first principle from this video, the first step, make sure that you also create sentences with the words that you learn and that you learn them in context. It's extremely important. So I made this mistake when I was learning English, that I didn't speak to anyone, to native speakers, to non-native English speakers. I just didn't speak to people. I learned English from the textbook and that was it. I actually discovered when I was learning Spanish that, oh my God, I started speaking immediately. I was kind of forced to start speaking because I came here to Spain and I needed to speak to people. I needed to survive. So it was easier. Of course, I'm going to talk about it more in the step number 3, but what I discovered is that without speaking and active practice, without output, like putting information out of my brain, I'm not gonna improve and master this language fast. So guys, we are all human beings, and I know it's uncomfortable. You are afraid of making mistakes. Sometimes you embarrass yourself in public. Yes, it's gonna happen. I embarrassed myself millions of times. And this is how I learned. This is how I learned Spanish, and later on in my journey, this is how I learned English. By making mistakes, this is how we learn, and it's normal. Everybody learns something new. So we need to be like really compassionate. I'm sure that if some tourist comes to your country and tries to speak your language, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And you want to help them, you want to correct their mistakes, but not because they are terrible because they made a mistake. No, because you want to help them. So this is how I treat language learning, as a wonderful process that can be really supportive, that we can connect with new people and support them when they learn a language. For example, I don't live in my country, I don't live in Poland, but when I visited Poland and I saw a tourist trying to say something in Polish, like dziękuję, which is thank you in Polish, I was like so happy that they, made an effort and actually tried to speak my language. So I know that a lot of people are so afraid of speaking a foreign language because of the fear of judgment, fear of making mistakes. But please, guys, try to work with this fear and try to like tell yourself, okay, I do my best. I put time, energy, and effort to learn this language. I'm already awesome. I didn't know any grammar, and I just started speaking Spanish to Spanish people. And it's strictly connected to step number 3, the full immersion. The full immersion is basically surrounding yourself with language and implementing this language to your daily life, to your daily routine. I just mentioned that I started speaking Spanish to Spanish native speakers. And now most probably you are asking yourself, Veronica, but where are these native speakers? I am in my home country and I want to learn French, for example, or German or English, but I don't have any native speaker. What do I do? Well, there are a lot of things that you can do actually, because I started learning Spanish when I was still in Poland, in my home country, and I didn't have any native speaker to speak to. So what I did in Poland, like I went to Facebook groups, and I started searching some groups of Spanish people in Warsaw, because I used to live in Warsaw. So actually this was my first contact with native speakers. I basically met some people on Facebook and I started talking to them. Then we met in Warsaw, and they were speaking to me in Spanish. I didn't know how to speak Spanish, but I tried. So sometimes we were mixing this with English, and this is how I actually started. What if you live in the countryside, you don't have this possibility? If you watch this video, it means that you have access to internet, my friends. So there is no excuses. There are a lot of websites and apps that are like language exchange. So for example, you speak Arabic and you want to learn French. So you basically exchange languages. You talk to somebody in Arabic and they talk to you in French. There are a lot of resources. There are also paid websites, for example, Lingoda, LifeXP. Again, none of this is sponsored. I promoted some of these brands on my Instagram, but these mentions are absolutely not sponsored. Nobody paid me for this video. But if they want to sponsor me, just drop me an email, please. So you can take classes with native speakers. Some of these platforms offer really affordable classes, affordable sessions, some group sessions. So, find your own way. You also have ChatGPT, my friend. It's absolutely for free and it's awesome. You can ask AI any questions. It's gonna correct your mistakes. You can talk to ChatGPT for free. Right now this feature is available because it wasn't available, I guess, at the beginning when I started learning Spanish. So I didn't use ChatGPT to learn Spanish. But what I did is I consumed a lot of content in Spanish. I basically fell in love with Spanish by watching shows on Netflix. I binge watched all of the shows on Netflix and YouTube. I watched a lot of travel vlogs. So here's a tip. I suggest connecting full immersion with your hobbies, because this is gonna help you create passion for the language. So I love traveling. I travel full time. As you can see right now, I'm just looking at this place and I can't believe that I'm here and I'm alone. Like, oh my god, it's so perfect. I'm gonna show you at the end of this video. But coming back to the topic, I travel full time, and when I prepare my trips, when I prepare myself for the next destination, I always watch travel vlogs to help me find some good spots. And I started doing that in Spanish, and it helped me a lot because I connected my passion with language learning, and it was a game changer, my friend. So think about your passion, your hobby, something that you would watch anyway in your native language, and do it in your target language. You're gonna see how fast you improve. And I'm absolutely sure that you scroll on social media every single day. Average person spends 2 hours and 24 minutes on social media every single day. Use this time well. Start to follow some cool influencers in your target language. Learn something new on Instagram, on TikTok in your target language. I follow a lot of Spanish influencers. When I say Spanish, I mean Spanish speakers, not only from Spain. And I learned a lot. And you know, sometimes when you commute to work or you basically travel somewhere, you have plenty of time, I don't know, on the bus or something like this. Use this time wisely, because this excuse, oh, I don't have time to learn language, is bullshit. Sorry for the word, but it's bullshit. You have time to learn a language if you want to. I was actually about to move to step number 4, but before that, I discovered a really cool way of immersing myself in a language. I discovered this when I was in Thailand last summer, and I really wanted to read the book It Didn't Start With You. I talked about it in my previous video, so you can have a look here. I really wanted to read this book fast. I was reading a book and I actually bought an audiobook of the same book. And I used to listen to audiobook and read at the same time, obviously having a pen with me and working with the book actively. I underline a lot. I write some synonyms if I don't understand a word. So it was an effective and fast way of receiving new information, full immersion, and at the same time mastering my reading skills and listening skills. So it was simply awesome. This method also helps you focus on the context, not only on the words, because sometimes when we read a book and we don't understand one word, we are like, oh my god, I need to stop, I need to check it, and so on. But sometimes when you listen and read at the same time, you're gonna come to the conclusion that, oh my god, I don't need to understand this word to understand the context, and then I can guess kind of what this word means by understanding the context. But sometimes you don't understand the context. So what do you do then? Then you need to stop, you need to grab your phone and go to Google, look it up on Google, and you can write a synonym. It leads me to step number 4, regular, consistent practice that you enjoy. My friend, this is the most important thing. You need to enjoy what you do. You need to enjoy what you learn. Because if not, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's true, you're not gonna learn anything fast if you don't like it. Now I would like to suggest that you actually output the information that you consumed using full immersion. What does it mean? Input and output. Before we talked in step number 3, full immersion, about input, things that you put in your head. Now you need to practice output. Step number 2, which was active speaking, is obviously output. But what I would like to suggest is you watch a movie or you watch a show or a YouTube video, and then after watching it, after consuming it, you basically summarize it and describe it to yourself. For example, this video was about language learning. I learned, and you, for example, tell yourself what you learned, like you summarize what you consumed. So this is how your brain is gonna really process the information. You're gonna learn more, and at the same time, you're gonna master your target language. So if I were you, I wouldn't overwhelm myself with the practice. I would try to implement my target language to my life. This is what I did with Spanish. Basically, Spanish became my life, and I'm not exaggerating. Spanish became my life. That's why I learned Spanish. I say that I acquired Spanish because actually I believe that I acquired Spanish. If you don't know what acquisition is, watch this video after this one because I don't have enough time to explain everything in one video. It depends on you how you work with full immersion, but when it comes to active practice, active output, I would suggest 10-15 minutes a day, at least. But it has to be every day and it has to be consistent. I actually love this concept. Conscious, committed, imperfect action. Even if it's imperfect, it has to be committed and it has to be consistent. So you need to take action every single day. You need to learn this language every single day. Another cool way to learn any language fast is to become a part of a community. So you can join any community on the internet, but if you are an English learner, if you would like to become a part of an amazing community, if you would like to learn English in a safe space, I invite you to join my fun English community. We meet 2 times a week on a Zoom session for a speaking club. So if your target language is English, you get to speak a lot with me and other international students. I post a lesson every single day in our Telegram group. So you get to learn every single day with me and you get to ask questions whenever you want. If I resonate with you, if you find this video useful, consider joining the Fun English group in the link in the description down below. The last but absolutely not least, step number 5, find passion and curiosity. I already talked about it in the previous steps, so let me just sum it up briefly. What really helped me learn Spanish so fast was my passion for it, was my curiosity. I usually ask native speakers, hey, why did you use this word? What about this grammar structure? I didn't know this. Can you explain it to me, please? So sometimes I can be overwhelming because I ask a lot of questions. And I think that somebody who asks a lot of questions wins. You know why? Because you get to find the answers. So, for example, when I watch a show and I don't understand a word, sometimes I simply look it up out of curiosity. So I'm really curious about the language I'm learning. And obviously, languages are connected to culture. It goes together. It's like this. So now I'm in the Canary Islands, as you can see. By learning Spanish here in the Canary Islands, I needed to immerse myself in the culture. I needed to become curious about this culture. So for example, here in the Canary Islands, in Tenerife, people don't say el autobús, which is bus, in normal Spanish, in Spanish from Spain. Here people say la guagua. And I was like, why they say la guagua? This passion and curiosity really led me to success. In my opinion, this is the key to successful learning. But no worries, if you are not really passionate about the cultures, that's okay. However, I would say that you need to know some cultural aspects to understand the language fully. You can connect your own passion to language learning. So this is what I was talking about before. Okay, guys. It's time to wrap this video up. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for spending this time with me. Let me know in the comments if you find this video useful, what tips you practiced, what tips are new to you. If you have any suggestions or feedback, I read your comments. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to support my work and give this video a like. Now, as I promised,